You're supposed to speak first. You're not supposed to speak third. So Quinn and Alan, amazing work and amazing accomplishments. But word to the wise, no one likes show-offs. Okay, so try to tamp it down a little bit. Okay. And Alan, you and I are kindred spirits, which you will realize in the not-too-distant future. But Brother Lito, faculty and staff, parents and grandparents, friends and family, and in particular, the graduating class of Iona Prep 2025, good morning and hello. I'd like to start by spending a minute talking about the scholarship in my father's name. For literally my entire life, I've been aware of Iona Prep. As a son of a prep graduate, it was just part of who I was. To give you a reference point, as the youngest of 7 children, my oldest brother was graduating Iona as I was entering grammar school. As a result, I've grown accustomed to always having Iona Prep brethren around any house in which I lived, including at times these days around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when they're with my sons in need of a late night snack and a cleansing beverage before turning in for the night. Maybe there's some stepping at kids, maybe some American high schools, probably no Fordham Prep, but that's a separate conversation. But the idea of the scholarship came into formation last August when my mother passed away. The folks of the prep were kind enough to send out a notification to the Iona Prep community about her passing. And as they were gathering information about my mother, it was commented about the length of time my family has been connected to Iona. There may have been other families who have had more graduates here, but they didn't think there was another family that had a range of 85 years comparable to my father, class of 1940, to my youngest son graduating here today, class of 2025, with 8 other Degens in between. And I saw the thing today, Mr. Petrillo, you have us by a long way, okay? 12 years I think you got us by, so I'll take the silver medal for the time being. My father was extremely proud of his Iona Prep roots, was a firm believer in Catholic education. Kristen and I are also firm believers in the importance of a solid education, particularly at the elementary through high school level. And so, having been as blessed as Kristen and I have, we thought it natural to give some young men who are interested, deserving, and who will value an Iona Prep education and experience that access in my father's memory. Kind of a nice way to close this chapter of the Iona Prep Degen family story. When Brother Lito called me a couple months ago to ask me to give this address, I was obviously very flattered. I immediately thought of the Iona Prep alums who have spoken at prior commencement exercises, including my own, and was truly honored to be joining that group. So in recognition of those incredibly successful men, and aware that there are many moms and dads and grandparents joining today who have enjoyed tremendous personal and professional success, my comments are with those facts fully in mind and with all humility. What does one do when asked to give a commencement address when it is most definitely not your natural habitat? Well, I thought it logical to go on YouTube and watch a few to give me some ideas. There were a wide array of speeches, some I enjoyed, some I didn't care for too much, but there were 2 I want to highlight that helped guide my thoughts and comments for today. Hopefully I can leave the graduates with 1 or 2 items to ponder before we go and celebrate their accomplishments and graduation. The first address was from Denzel Washington speaking at the University of Pennsylvania. The reason I liked it was his main theme, fall forward. We see Denzel today and we think Reuben Hurricane Carter, Malcolm X, Alonzo Harris from Training Day, or the attorney in the movie Philadelphia, to name but a few, but it wasn't so easy for Denzel. Growing up not far from here in Mount Vernon, Denzel was a student at Fordham University, struggling mightily in pre-med coursework. Struggling so much that he needed to take a leave of absence from his studies. And while he was away from school, he talks about indecisions, crisis of confidence, and how he prayed and prayed for some guidance. During his time away, he worked locally as a camp counselor where they were doing some acting skits, and his fellow counselors commented to him how naturally acting came to him and how good he was at it. Lo and behold, when he resumed his studies, it was as a drama major, and the rest is history. Confronted with near failure, full of indecision and self-doubt, but buttressed by prayer, Denzel fell forward. Now, I was thinking about any examples of my own falling forward during my time here at Iona, and while the faculty at the time could say the choices are myriad for me just falling, there was one episode of falling forward that came quickly to mind. In the December of my sophomore year, with a solidly mediocre at best grade point average after my almost 3 semesters, I made a really dumb decision. A decision or act that not only would cast a negative light on me, but also potentially on Iona Prep itself. expulsion was not off the table. I can't imagine there would have been a lot of schools looking for an academically underachieving student with a freshly tarnished reputation. Mercifully, the decision was not to expel. But there was, of course, a consequence. They still have Saturday detention? Okay. Who went to Saturday detention? I mean, your graduation. Raise it. Good man. The decision I had to do every Saturday detention from Christmas to Easter. Okay, Saturday detention, for those not familiar, is a 3-hour stretch on Saturday mornings, but the key was you could do your work while there, unlike the Breakfast Club movie. So beyond helping develop a relationship with Mr. Posha, who was the proctor, who helped kindle my interest in government and politics that persists to this day, accelerated by him teaching me AP US history in my senior year, what else happened? I did all my homework, studied for quizzes and tests, did my projects, was prepared, and got first honors that semester and basically every semester thereafter. And I was thinking about this. I think Mr. Posha gave me like an 88 or an 89 one semester that sent me down to second honors, but we'll talk about that a little later. Okay, Mr. Posha? What a crazy realization for a 15-year-old Paul Degen. Do your work, get good grades, fall forward. So to Brother Lito and the rest of the Iona Prep administration, I want to say thank you. Thank you for not quitting on me or giving up on me when it could have been really easy and understandable to have done so. And now you men, when you're confronted with disappointment, rejection, self-doubt, which we will all have or will face, or if you simply do something really stupid, say your prayers, buckle up, try to fall forward. Who knows, you may end up being a 2-time Academy Award-winning actor like Denzel. Now, I want to talk about 2 thoughts or requests for the graduates here today before turning it back to Brother Lito. Be happy and be strong. I imagine most of the parents or guardians joining us today want the same thing that Kristen and I want for our kids. We want them to be happy. Sounds pretty obvious, but I guess the question to ask is, how does one become happy? One of the authors I enjoy reading is a fellow by the name of Arthur C. Brooks. He is the former president of the American Enterprise Institute and is currently a professor at Harvard University and a contributing writer at The Atlantic. He converted to Catholicism when he was roughly the same age as our graduates today, and he writes and speaks a lot about how to find happiness. He typically assigns a few things to increasing one's chance of being happy, and I'll try to summarize them briefly now. First, work. Find and do something you like. The old expression always comes to mind for me: to have found joy in work is to have discovered the fountain of youth. The best way, in my opinion, to find out what you like and what you'll be passionate about is to read a lot and to work on a wide array of different topics. When you do this, it makes you more interested and, importantly, more interesting. People can sense your enthusiasm, and you will find your way to a life and career of something that is gratifying for you. If you find yourself wasting time on your cell phones or your video games, try to remind yourself to refocus on what's important. I mean, after all, you are men now. And I know, speaking personally, and I'm sure there are lots of moms and dads out there, but when I meet someone who's looking for a job in an interview, rest assured the topic of what your town hall level is in Clash of Clans or what your snap score is most definitely does not come up. So read some more and pursue the fields that interest you. Next, from Arthur Brooks, family and friends. Sounds obvious again, but all relationships require investment. Often the family side of the equation is more difficult. You're stuck with them. But the sense of belonging and love and security cannot be overstated. And as it relates to friends, life gets busy. But when you make efforts into genuine friendships, I cannot stress how important and gratifying they are. Make sure you make the extra efforts. You make the first call to stay connected. It's worth it. And one last observation here. These friendships and the events of your lives going forward, from birthdays to weddings, and importantly and sadly, to wakes and funerals, Iona men show up. The fun times are great, but on the dark days, which we will all encounter, Iona men show up. So invest in the friendships that you have started while here. The third aspect of happiness is faith. It is critical to have that faith-based framework in your life. The prep has helped fortify that moral compass in you. It is critical that you keep working on your faith, not only for yourself, but for the broader community. I was thinking about a quote from a speech President Eisenhower gave. Parenthetically, Eisenhower was a man of faith himself. He's the reason we have "In God We Trust" in the back of our paper currency and "One Nation Under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance. But President Eisenhower gave a speech and paraphrased a 19th century European political philosopher who visited the United States and said this: "I sought for the greatness and genius of America and her commodious harbors and her ample rivers. It was not there. In her fertile fields and boundless forests, it was not there. In her democratic Congress and her matchless Constitution, and it was not there. Not until I went into the churches of America and heard her pulpits flame with righteousness did I understand the secret of her genius and power. America is great because she is good. And if America ever ceases to be good, she will cease to be great." Now, I think we can all agree that this isn't the easiest of times in the United States. We all need to role model the behaviors and the temperament we hope to see more broadly in our society. So as you continue to work on your faith, please be conscious that the moral foundations your families and the prep have given you can have material knock-on benefits to our broader communities. So, if you sorted out your area of interest or study, investing in quality relationships with family and friends, and working on your faith, the next and final aspect of being happy is philanthropy. Philanthropy can take on many forms: donating time, donating money, including for these guys back at the prep, right, brother? Somebody on that? Donating blood. But when you do this, not only are you helping those less fortunate than yourselves, but it actually makes you happy. If I got good info here, this graduating class has worked in excess of 12,000 service hours over their time here at Iona. 12,000 hours. Now, I'm not naive. I imagine the vast majority of you will not be spending your weekends this summer volunteering or donating any of the graduation gifts you may be lucky enough to receive back to your favorite charity, but I do want to make one observation and request. While those 12,000 hours may have come from a sense of obligation initially, I believe there was an awareness created in each of you of our roles in helping the less fortunate. So I'm hoping that little flicker of awareness stays alight in you as you continue to go on your journeys. I want you to remember the poor souls you helped feed in the Kensington neighborhood in Philadelphia and how much they needed your kindness. To remember the glow in the eyes of the middle schooler you helped tutor when they had a breakthrough on their coursework. To remember the visible sense of relief to the mother and children whose house you helped repair in New Orleans, to name but a few of the charitable works done by you while you've been here at the prep. So that, God willing, you go on to success in your chosen fields and can find time to provide relief in any form to those who need it. So there's your happiness playbook: work, family, friends, faith, and philanthropy. Now, I said there were two things I want to talk about: be happy and be strong. So I want to address the be strong, and then I promise I'll get out of here. I mentioned earlier there were two commencement addresses that I wanted to reference and that helped guide my thoughts here today. The second was from Admiral William McRaven at the University of Texas. For those of you unfamiliar with Admiral McRaven, he's a four-star retired admiral in the U.S. Navy. His career in special forces included the capture and containment of Saddam Hussein, the former president of Iraq, and the raid that resulted in the death of Osama bin Laden, made famous in the movie Zero Dark 30. I was lucky enough to meet and conduct a fireside chat one evening at a work event with Admiral McRaven, which could have gone on for hours. However, despite these amazing experiences over his career, what he may be best known for is his commencement address at the University of Texas, where he gave the graduates some rules of life to follow, the most famous of which was make your bed. You should watch the YouTube if you haven't already done so. What I liked was the predicate for his address was the school motto. Now, I have to confess, like Alan, I've always been really a big fan of Iona's school motto, Estod firmly, be strong. It's been in front of you since your first days here at the prep. Notebooks, uniforms, bumper stickers. Strength can take many forms. Clearly, we need to keep ourselves physically strong. I'm sure you're noticing I've skipped that part lately. But I'm also referring to mental strength, where it isn't only about problem solving, but also how we show resilience and good decisions. Emotional strength, where we can lead and, when necessary, resolve conflicts, where we show compassion and restraint. And spiritual strength, where we can show gratitude. And as you leave here today and head off to the next amazing part of your life's voyage, there may be doubt as to your ability to be strong. Can you say no when drugs get passed around? Can you say no when some of your classmates are cheating and suggesting you join them? Will you stick up for the person getting picked on or taken advantage of? To name but a few of the many, many decisions that await you going forward. My strong belief is that yes, you can and you will. The powerful combination of your families and the moral, intellectual, and spiritual development you have nurtured while here at Aona Prep will make you strong enough to make the right decisions, especially when they may not be the easiest or the most popular, but the right ones, as stowed firmly. So, as is every day, but maybe a little bit more so today, it's a great day to be a Gale. Be happy, be strong. Congratulations to the graduating class of Aona Prep 2015.